100 episodes, Adam. Holy crap. I can't believe I've been co-hosting the show with you for 100 episodes, almost exactly to the year. We started it in January. Remember our first ever episode had like 10 people.
Well, that's the number of live stream viewers we have right now. So we're getting there, man. It's getting there. You know, it's funny because it's like hard to even keep track the number of shows we've done beyond just this show. I mean, just it's like infinite. Like the number of it's probably done 1,000 shows. You know, it's like
between your podcasting career.
With you, I mean, just with you, I probably done 500 shows.
Yeah, I mean, we did the NFT Now show with Leonidas for what, a year, maybe a little over a year.
Yep.
And then just all the random historical NFT shows, and man, it's been a grind.
Shows, bro. Who knew you were going to be a professional podcaster, man?
Dude, well, my 4-year podcasting anniversary is in April, so that's even crazy. Actually, one of my friends was in town who was working on OmniSat with, and we were just talking about how long we've been in crypto. And in April will be 4 years of doing full time in crypto, and it'll also be close to my 8-year anniversary. So that was like a big, like, holy shit, I've been doing this almost as full time for as long as I've been in the space for.
Yeah, you hit those milestones and it's like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah. So let's see. Our first episode was January 26th, 2023. So yeah, 53 weeks into it.
I wonder what that one was about. Probably Pepe's, I would guess.
Ethereum was the title that I had on it. The historical NFT stuff. For everyone that's here, please retweet the space. I have it pinned to the top. Make sure that everyone can come in and hang out. We're going to go over all of our inscription market conversations. There's a lot happening in the ordinal space, the Bitcoin ordinal space. Litecoin has been getting a little bit more traction. Maybe it's finally coming back from the dead. Stamps is also coming back, and SRC20 has been in the purview for Binance, it seems. So
lots of exciting stuff happening, man.
Lots of exciting stuff. Yeah, make sure you guys retweet the space. Also, if you have anything you'd like to say or comment down below the bottom right-hand corner of that purple button, go ahead and post any questions and we can get here and get started.
Or raise your hand. Come on up, man.
Yeah, come hang. These are all open spaces. Come hang out. Chris, how you feeling this morning?
Yo, 100 episodes, man. What a milestone. That's actually pretty crazy. I know On the Brink just had their 500 episode. They've been going for like 6 years. So for 100 in just 1 year, kind of on par, but just way more front facing in front of the community every single day. So just grinding it out, man. Incredible to see. And I don't know, I think you guys have a few more hundred in you. What do you guys think, Adam and Jake?
I hope so, man. You know, I actually so for my podcast, my single episode podcast, I actually ended up stopping that to focus on this show. That was at 296. So putting almost 400 quote unquote professional shows. I mean, that doesn't count all the times you've been on a guest show, right? All the other random spaces. I would say probably pushing over somewhere over 500 in 4 years between everything.
Yeah, you got to put in the reps. Like I did. I mean, I recommend it. Like actually, like Song a Day. I think that dude and actually people have for most of us who don't have like this incredible like discipline where you can like build something over time, like that. Doing a daily thing, a daily practice is super hard, but it forces kind of undisciplined people like me to do something. Like I did a podcast, I've told you, Jake, for a year. I did one every day about Costa Rica, and just that discipline of it. I did it for a year and then literally stopped. I was like, fuck this. You know what I mean? But it was so hard, but it got me in that routine of like now doing shows and stuff and whatever. It's like, it just becomes something you can do, you know? But yeah, you got to put in the reps, man.
I think it's, you know, being a podcaster or a radio host, you end up becoming some of the most powerful people in the world, some of the best entrepreneurs and networkers. I mean, I know this isn't crypto related, but you just think about it. Joe Rogan just signed another $250 million deal. This one is non-exclusive, so he's going to be on YouTube and all of the stuff. But before him, even Howard Stern still holds the record for $500 million contracts. I was watching a documentary on him a few weeks ago, and he's had a $100 million contract 12 years in a row. Like, how crazy is that? At one point in the peak of his career, he was getting 30 million active people. That like doesn't even like, now Joe Rogan is more popular than Howard Stern, but Joe Rogan's number still doesn't even come close to that.
Yeah, it was a different world back then, right? You could garner so much. There were so few channels, right? That it was just a completely different landscape back then. You hear stuff about whatever Johnny Carson getting half of the live US viewers, at a time, 60, 70, 80 million people. I mean, it's just different world, literally completely different world. Better world now, in my view.
Yeah, but now you got to fight for attention. I think it took me probably about 100 or 200 episodes to really feel comfortable of saying, okay, this is my style, this is my personality, this is the way that I'm going to go about, live discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But you know that you'll never be perfect. I mean, I listen to so many different podcasts, even Chris mentioned with On the Brink, and they still fuck up all the time. Joe Rogan does, Tim Ferriss. You just got to be comfortable, quote unquote, building in public, which is something I do want to talk about a little bit later. But I do want to call on IPEX, man. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, I appreciate the platform here. Congratulations on the 100th episode. I just tuned in and saw that massive milestone. I don't know how often you host these, but nonetheless, it's absolutely phenomenal. I host some spaces here on Hedera as well. You might have heard of that chain, the Hashgraph over there. We just crossed our 100th episode on Friday. So again, massive shout out to you guys. I'm still getting to know what Emblem Vault is. If you guys are familiar with patches over on the Hedera side of things, I've been hearing.
Oh, you rugged, man.
Still learning.
Oh, there you go.
No, that was somebody was calling me on my phone.
Back.
No, sorry, IPEX. Yeah, to cut you off. Actually, admin, I have a call with Patches in 2 hours, I think. And we're going to meet up.
Are you psyoping us from Patches right now? What's going on
Is this
here?
really Patches? Yeah, we have a phone call with him, actually. Apparently, he was talking about Emblem Vault on Monday. In the conversation, there's a lot of multi-chain collaborative opportunities, and from what Patches has said, he's really excited about the possibilities because it sounds like we're both building towards this multi-chain world and this thesis of interoperability. Were you on that Spaces?
Yeah. So we've been hosting some. He came in, so I host some. I don't want to be sure what I'm doing unless you guys want to hear about it. But Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. EST. And then usually he'll tune in and share a little bit about what he's cooking. And then a couple hours later, he'll do like some impromptu spaces for the community. And then he'll just kind of talk about what's going on with like some of the consensus service and what he's trying to do with that, with inscriptions. And so I won't like go too exhaustive because I'm not the developer, I'm not the one building it. But I mean, basically locking and unlocking tokens from other chains essentially and putting them on the consensus service in a secure manner. And there's more to it, but that was just so fascinating to me. And I also wanted to come up to hear, like, is this the actual Emblem Vault or did I follow the wrong account as well? But yeah, I mean, I'm just here, I'm just listening right now and trying to learn as much. But so Adam, Jake, is there someone behind the Emblem Vault account as well, or is it just you two?
It's just us two up here. So we're talking through my account. So Adam and I, we're also live streaming this. So we're talking through the same account, but the Emblem account, no one will be talking through. We just put it up there and host so people know that this is the cross-chain or multi-chain spaces. But we do cover a lot of inscriptions because that is our primary market right now is mostly Bitcoin NFTs, from counterparty to Bitcoin ordinals to stamps. And we have some other ulterior ones as well, mostly UTXO based stuff, but we can add any type of wallet support. And I think this is why Patches is so excited because I know he's really, really big on interoperability and very passionate about it, to say the least.
Yeah, 100% is. And a lot of us in Hedera are definitely not maxis in any capacity. A lot of them are, unfortunately, but we're seeing a way that the world is coming together, and platforms like yourself, based on what I'm hearing and what I'm trying to learn every day at this point, is seeing the way everything's shifting for sure. So I'm excited to just kind of be along for the journey, see, and any way I can help people come together. But it looks like you guys are already connected, which is awesome. So I'm excited for however that goes. I'm sure he's gonna let us know. And I'll try to come around these spaces too. I'll try to tune in. So when do you guys host these so I can notate them on my calendar? I just checked and I saw a little purple icon on Emblem Vault.
Awesome. Yeah, Tuesday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. And the shows have a variety. Sometimes they're guest focused. Like yesterday we did ENS, because a lot of the ENS guys are also kind of multi-chain thesis in terms of just identity across different chains. But everyone obviously always has their favorite, or I guess their go-to chain, which is, that's totally acceptable. That's kind of one of the Emblem thesis as well. And then today, like once a week, we'll do kind of an inscriptions market talk. And then tomorrow we're doing a doginal space, because that community is absolutely blowing up, which we'll cover a little bit of that today. But, going into the first topic, it actually has a pretty good transition. Adam, you threw up a nice little post yesterday. Would you like to talk about this DeGod's partnership with Wormhole? And what are some things that stood out to you? And what are some of the differences in terms of the collaborative opportunities there?
Well, I mean, the reason this really came up was in the MBells, talking about MBells, and people were like, when roadmap, what are you guys doing with MBells? What's the utility of this? And they don't actually even understand what we did with MBells, right? What we did with MBells, so anybody in the audience who doesn't even know what we're talking about, Bells Coin is its own unique UTXO-based blockchain like Dogecoin, okay? And what we did was we inscribed these MBells on Bells Coin, but in that inscription process, we actually put them into Emblem vaults on Ethereum, right? So it's a cross-chain minting process that we did. That was kind of the launch of the first use of our launch pad, right? So we were in the Discord trying to explain this to people, because people are like, why cross-chain? Cross-chain is stupid. And just by happenstance, DeGods had this collaboration with Wormhole. And DeGods, as most of you probably know, have jump changed multiple times. Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin with ordinals and all this sort of stuff. And so they've bounced around really more than anybody. And so their partnership with Wormhole makes a heck of a lot of sense, because Frank just wants them to be able to go anywhere. Makes total sense. I'm sure Wormhole cut him a nice check. But people were like, well, I think Wormhole was before you guys. And I wanted to kind of tell why or how we're different than Wormhole. And what Wormhole does at the highest level, most simple, is when you mint something and you move it to another chain. So you take your DeGod on Solana and move it to Ethereum. You burn that DeGod on Solana and you mint a brand new token on Ethereum. Okay. And if you were to go back through Wormhole, you burn that Ethereum token and you mint a brand new one on Solana. Is that fine? Sure, it's fine. But for us at Emblem Vault, what we believe in is the initial token mint is valuable in and of itself. It actually has a provenance layer that, especially for artists, high-end items, really anything that you really are going to treasure, you want to maintain that provenance layer, right? So that initial token never moves off the native chain. It never gets burnt. You always maintain control of it. And then it mints into an Emblem Vault, and that Emblem Vault can then transfer from Ethereum to Solana to Bitcoin ordinals. But the underlying token asset never leaves its native chain, never moves, really. And so, like, I wanted to, that's what with that post was about, just letting people in our own Discord know, like, this is the differentiator, right? Both are valid. Like, dude, I totally get what Wormhole's doing. Like for gaming and stuff, low value items, items that need to move all over the place at a high speed, low gas, basically free. Like there's a big use case for it. So I'm not discounting what they are doing, but I wanted to highlight how we're different and better in some ways, worse in others, but better in some. And so I just wanted to kind of, point that out to people, what the heck's going on.
Yeah, the multi-chain thesis is real, and it's becoming more real every day. So what I like to call it actually is, so this is a lock and mint, right? This is the kind of, there's three ways to move across a blockchain, at least now, right? There, at least as of today, there's bridging, wrapping, and vaulting. And this is where little people get confused, but they're all in this same classification of interoperability protocols, this emerging kind of industry, which people have been trying to tackle for a long, long time. I mean, the first true, I guess, interoperability swap was an atomic swap back in 2017. I think Litecoin swapped with Decred. That was like the first one. And then they did Litecoin for Bitcoin on the Lightning Network like a little bit after that. But I was actually thinking about this morning. because something that spurred my thought, and I was actually kind of taken away by it, was yesterday I had posted about the DGods thing. I got to find this tweet here. And then BitGod, actually, who's one of our good friends, commented and said he was actually personally bearish. And it's like, I said, on cross-chain NFTs or DGod's partnership? And he said cross-chain NFTs. And he came in and I asked, like, what was the thesis? And here's the thesis. I'll read this and then I'll explain it. He said, launching on a new chain is like launching in a new country for a project or company. Cultures and communities are radically different and need to be managed as such. Both NFT projects and companies do not have enough resources to properly manage these differences. We've seen some companies, no NFT projects yet, make this shift successfully, but you lose market share on native chains. So he said, TLDR, you already spread thin enough on the native chain with competition. Expanding chains is more complicated than just expanding. And ironically, Patches responded to this and said, if the future is not interconnected, seamless across all chains, he said, I have no idea what we're doing here.
Yeah, I love that, man.
And, I kind of went into the same idea and I said, right now, this is probably the right thesis, but it's this is, short-term thinking essentially. For this cycle, it's true, but as infrastructure improves, liquidity profiles grow, et cetera, it's unlikely that every blockchain exists purely as a native chain experience. I said, Web 1 and Web 2 end states are both highly interconnected and abstracted from the user end, right? Like if you go to a website, you could log in with Google, you could log in with Facebook, you could log in wherever. All the data is being shared between one another. That is an interconnected world. And I said, this thesis means that you think crypto ends up like siloed video games rather than application interactiveness.
Yep.
And, so it was a little bit of a thought. And I was thinking, okay, like what is he missing here? And what am I missing? And I was thinking about, interconnectedness. And it actually goes back even before atomic swaps. I mean, Namecoin merge mined with Bitcoin, I think in like 2012. And that is literally interconnectedness. Of course, there's no financial component to it, but that is secure interactiveness. And that was actually proposed by Satoshi. That was literally proposed by the creator of Bitcoin, right? And so he obviously sees an interconnected world, he, she, they, whoever it is.
Yeah.
And, we're starting to now get to that point. But right now, yes, of course, native chain experiences are taking form. I mean, what Emblem does, right, with vaulting. Let me get back to this, and then I'll call you. Then I'll take your question, Chris, or comment. There's 3 ways to move assets across blockchains. You have wrapping, bridging, and vaulting. And wrapping was created or instituted in 2018. This is this idea, I like to call it custodianment. So what you're doing is, if you have wrapped Bitcoin, if you're familiar, you're sending Bitcoin to BitGo, who's a central authority, and they're taking custody of it and minting a token, a WBTC token. With Wormhole, right, they said they do, right, burn and mint. There's also lock and mint as well. But burn and mint, right, you're destroying the token. They're minting a new one on the other side. Burn and mint, or lock and mint, is also one where you can send your token into a smart contract, and then they mint a token on the other side. But this is what Wormhole used to do, and this is what ended up with a $600 million hack.
Yeah.
Right?
Those bridges are tough, man. Those bridges are tough, bro.
So there's multiple ways to go about this from the bridging perspective. What Emblem Vault introduced and what Shannon introduced in 2020, right, 2 years after bridging or wrapping was created, I like to call this encrypt and mint, because what you're doing is you're taking the private keys to a wallet and you're encrypting it on Ethereum. And then you're putting it inside of a token. So what you're doing is you're trading private keys to a wallet. That's literally what Emblem Vault is. And so that form of encrypted mint, I believe, is vastly superior to the other two. It's still to be determined, but vaulting has become a preferred use case for NFTs, because what Adam has said, that users don't want to destroy the token, right? If you have a rare Pepe that was minted in 2016, you don't want to destroy that provenance. That's like where a lot of the value is derived from. And this generally comes from this is like Emblem Vault is generally used for like UTXO based assets, because you're not going to be able to destroy the UTXO, right? That just like bridging just does not work with that. And right now, Emblem's the only way to take a representation of a UTXO asset and represent it on a different chain. And it's become a very good use case for NFTs. It actually trounces any other quote unquote NFT bridge that exists. Emblem has probably about 100 million in TVL. This is just a guesstimate because there's no oracle that exists for Bitcoin NFTs. The next bridge is like $100 million, right? So Emblem is vastly far ahead from everything else. And yes, there's a lot of issues that come with this as well from the creation that Shannon had made, but it's improving. And I don't think these three, bridge wrap and vaulting, will end up being the only types of interoperability. There will probably be something introduced later, but I've yet to see a new method be introduced since vaulting in 2020. So I think cross-chain will continue to grow. To me, it just seems highly unlikely that everything will just live in a native experience. When you look at the world, right?
I mean, it's impossible, dude. There's no way. I joked with in DGod in that thread. I said, literally, the only way this happens if there's like one chain to rule them all, and like that happens. But there's no way you're going to take 1,000 blockchains and just everyone is siloed.
It just doesn't make sense.
Just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense.
And you know what we like to do in crypto is we like to look at the real world and say, oh, this is happening over here. I think this is pretty true. This is just my speculation. I've looked up many times what is the international GDP of the worldwide shipping industry. And it's about 5%. So you're saying 5% of the entire world's GDP is shipping, right? This is shipping containers, the postal service, right? Transportation, etc. And if that transfers to crypto, right? And if crypto is a $10 trillion industry, you're saying this is literally a $500 billion industry right here. And, to me, that is like an insane amount of opportunity. Again, as Adam's even said, this could take 10 years for that to unfold, really, sure, because it's really tough to express different blockchains on or the interconnectedness of all of it. But I just found it as just like such a short-term way of thinking. And right, obviously Hedera and a bunch of other blockchains, we see this vision. Obviously Wormhole sees this vision, and this is like a multi-billion-dollar company is Wormhole, right? They plugged a $600 million hack. They just covered it themselves. They just said, yeah, we'll pull it out of the piggy bank. And
bro,
they just
crazy, man.
Crazy, right? And so they're now getting into the NFTs. Their limitation is that they're just EVM and SVM, right? Because if you need smart contract functionality to be able to move these assets across chains, especially for gaming and things like whatever DGod wants. But also on the other end, we're actually supporting Bitcoin DGods. And so I even confirmed with them yesterday in our chat, because we offered Bitcoin DGods because it's on Bitcoin. It's an ordinals collection. Wormhole does not have the capabilities to make Bitcoin assets interoperable. The only place that you could do that is Emblem. So they reached out to us and they said, hey, can you get this collection going? They didn't tell us about the Wormhole thing. So that like kind of caught me off guard. But then you realize they also understand too, hey, there's a different type of interoperable protocol for different types of assets. And so we'll be supporting Bitcoin DGods. And I think that announcement will come sometime in the near future. It seems like they've probably been working on this. And then they'll use all of their SVM and EVM assets through Wormhole, right? And they just make it all interoperable. And so there's a place and time for everything. Chris, what are you thinking?
Oh, man. Yeah, great comments. Totally agree with you on so many points. And saw your back and forth with BitGod yesterday. And just wanted to double click on two things specifically. One, he said that crypto communities are radically different. That's objectively not true. We're actually radically the same. We've arrived in the same place before 99% of the world. Yep. So objectively, we're much more alike than we are different. As far as what we disagree on, just maybe degrees of decentralization or some type of speed, or how quickly these assets should trade across blockchains. That's not that different. And then second, just zooming in on how he said it's akin to maybe different countries or regions. And that's why we have international transfer. Yeah. And we export goods and services across state lines. So that's exactly what we're doing at Emblem Vault. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this industry.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it even better. And the way that we showcased this last week was through Embels, right? This, what we're calling the Vault Pad, is a cross-chain Launchpad. And I know for a lot of people it was kind of confusing what really happened here. But Adam, as the king of Bells Coin, would you like to give a simple explanation, and then we can also give an update to the community as to what's happened over the last 4 or 5 days?
Yeah. So basically, like, I mean, we tried to express this when we launched this 10K project, that there were probably going to be some stumbling blocks. Like, right, this is the first time we've done this, and I think, you know, I tried to say it in my initial tweet, which like announced the project, was like, why are we doing this on Bells? And there are a couple different reasons, but part of the reason is the Bells doesn't have this like built out easy infrastructure. Like Bells is very clunky and there's only a couple devs working on it. And so part of it was this challenge that, hey, if we can actually do this and complete this successfully on Bells, which is literally this, you know, 2013 tech, bro, then we can do it on anything. Like I even joked in my tweet, like if we can do it on Bells, like Solana is going to take us, like it's snap of the fingers easy. This is going to be amazing, right? And so we did run into some stumbling blocks. First, the mint itself. After I get, you correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but after about 3,000 of these were minted, and remember, it's minting on Ethereum. It's pushing to an inscription on Bell's coin, and then the data is all refreshing back up into the Emblem vault. After about 3,000, we started getting botted and bought it in like the tens of thousands of bots trying to mint tokens. And basically it crashed our system. And if you've been following the the cats on ordinals or whatever, like systems get overrun, and we got overrun. But fortunately, nobody lost money. No gas was lost. I mean, if anybody of you were around for 21, like there were tons of mints where you tried to mint and you failed and you lost that gas transaction. That did not happen with us. So, we're pretty psyched about that nobody lost money. Some people did get front run. So basically you clicked on, to get a laser eye, and a bot got in, a hundredth of a second before you. And they got the laser eye ahead of you. So some people didn't get the exact one they wanted, but we did fill 100% of the people who minted got an Emblem, which I think is pretty amazing considering this is our first, attempt at this sort of thing. And so we're going to try to, work with the people who think they missed out on their laser eye or whatever. But I mean, that's a handful. It was like less than 10 people that happened to, which is amazing considering this is like a 10K that got minted in 2 hours through this like clunky bell system. So, there were some people pissed that price dropped and stuff like that. Totally understand, but as Jake said, we weren't price protection. Like this is a $25 mint. Like we are, getting into the tech. This is a cross-chain minting solution that we're putting out there in the world that people are going to be able to use. And we're psyched to like grow this out. This was the first attempt. It was hard. There were issues, no doubt, but nobody got rugged. People didn't lose money in the minting process. And, overall, when people ask why it was a success, that's why. Like this was really hard. Our devs haven't been sleeping for a week, and but we basically got it done, and we're updating the final images right now on OpenSea. About 99% done on OpenSea, just a handful left, and that's the story, man.
Yeah, and some takeaways from this. I'd made a few posts about it. Collectors or buyers are always going to be upset of the price, right? We're aware, this is purely a crypto phenomenon that if the price ever drops below the mint price, then people are just going to be extremely frustrated. We're aware of that. The pricing of this was $5 more than what normally is. If you've ever created a vault, the vaulting fee is $20. That has been the standard for almost a year now at this point. So we bumped it up to 25 because we have to take care also of everybody else participating, right? Viva La Vandal needs to get paid. The Meme Tree, who did the front end for us, needs to get paid. Graham Bells needs to get paid. We also didn't know what the gas price would be, the service fee, etc. So if I know people were upset that it was $25, but we're at the end of the day, Emblem Vault's a vaulting company, right? The goal is to create vault demand, right? And that is one of the priorities of business models for Emblem Vault at this time, right? Royalties officially go to zero in about 3 weeks. There will be literally optional royalties across every single platform. And we only really have royalties on maybe 2 or 3 contracts because they were deployed before August, because that was OpenSea's policy. But it's been an ever-changing business model world in NFTs. How many NFT projects went to zero over the last year? 99% of them did, right? And the ones who survived are the ones who were able to create new business models, right? This is what Frank and D-Gods have done, right? This is why they've bounced around all these different chains, taking $3 million from Polygon, minting and making $6 million from Bitcoin D-Gods, returning the $3 million, jumping chains, right? They're also trying to survive, just like every other company, in a zero royalty environment that everyone had built their business around over the last 3 years. And then in a snap of a finger, and it was gone, right? So this was why the migration was so important, or one of the reasons why the migration was so important for Emblem. A 2020 contract that is not efficient and was deployed before any of the NFT innovations were even introduced, right? The bull market for NFTs came in 2021. This contract was created in 2020. It's one, it holds 12 different blockchains, all these different collections. So the migration had to happen. And so we also, Emblem has to create new business models. And for us, right, at the end of the day, we have to create vault demand. And so this cross-chain vault pad opportunity was something that multiple users had expressed to us that they were interested in. Obviously, we tested with Bell's coin going to Ethereum. The most common request is inscribing on Bitcoin and going to Solana. That is by far the most requested one that we've got. We've also gotten some stamps and some Doginal inscription services who have also reached out to us that we're talking with. So right now, Emblem exists, right, is deployed on Polygon, BNB, and Ethereum's the main one. And yes, you know, the gas fees are high, and Ethereum's kind of going through a new rebranding, trying to find out what's the next face of it. But all the innovation really does happen there. And, you know, this really, the only other place this could really happen on is probably Solana. Although, you know, Solana has its own issues as well. It's all trade-offs down the road, right? Imagine if we did this bells to Solana and then Solana went down before the reveal happened, right? That's no, but right. We were talking about this yesterday. Solana went down for, what is it, 12 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Most of the people don't give a fuck. Most people do not care, right? They're on Solana because they want efficiency and they want gas optimization. The fact they can handle the chain being down for 12 hours because they know what they're doing there, right? People on Ethereum have a high degree of decentralization. If Ethereum ever went down, it's probably over, right? That's the reason why people are there, is to have decentralization and 100% uptime. I mean, they had the fork, but it was still up the entire time. So it's been exciting. The troubles, if I had to reflect on the troubles of MBells, basically 3 things stuck out. When reveal was the one that I was actually taken away by the most. That one, the reveal of it, I was very taken aback because I realized, and Adam had already said this very quickly, that most people who minted an Embel did not even know there was an asset inside. They
Literally
thought
zero.
they thought this was like a PFP mint of some sort. So that, again, that's on our end. We need to clarify that better. And so we will moving forward in terms of what specifically is going on. But I also have to say that I was really, you know, intrigued, and it felt very fulfilling. 2,000, we have 2,200 holders. You know, maybe 1% of them are upset, but a lot of them said, yo, this was the experience that I needed. A lot of people said, I didn't even know what Bell's coin was. A lot of people had never interacted in a cross-chain kind of mint before. So this is how you onboard new people, right? And that's why we kept it at $25, is because we're not trying to gouge people. We do need to make revenue, but, you know, getting people familiar with these kind of cross-chain technologies is tough. There needs to be an incentive on the other side, right? Obviously, the leading way to do that right now is airdrop token, points, whatever. You know, we're not completely there yet. It'll probably come at some point in the future, but we need people to become familiar with the product. So delayed reveal. Yes, we're going to work on it. We didn't have the traits listed immediately. That is also something on our end. We should definitely, next time, we'll definitely make sure that the traits are ready to go. And then there was an automation disconnect that had happened, right? So on the user end for Embells, the user is paying 1 ETH transaction, but on the back end, there's actually 2 to 3 transactions that are happening, right? The vault is being minted. We're then pinging the Bellscribe API. They're inscribing the Embells and then sending it into the vault, right? And so that is completely abstracted away from the user. And that's what we were talking about with BitGod, is like the abstraction away from the user is what's going to make this interoperable world work. So those are 3 things that we have to fix and work on, and probably a little bit more communication. Even though we did talk about this on Spaces multiple times, retweeted it. It needs, I think we need like probably a longer blog post about these new technologies is probably what some people have been asking for.
Bro, nobody reads blogs. Right. I just think it's, at the end of the day, man, it's all, even, everybody, including myself, everybody has, nobody's got time for anything, right? And so it's like, nobody has perfect information and people miss stuff. And it's like, how many times do you answer the same question over and over and over and over? At the end of the day, people just, they want number go up and number don't go up. People mad. That's one thing. The other thing is most people literally don't care. Like we saw that with the Solana going down. People just don't care. Like we care, and I know a lot of people in this space care about decentralization, self-sovereignty, but most people don't give a shit. Like they just want, I want whatever I buy to go up in value, number go up. That's it. Like, that's it. I mean, there's a reason Embells got botted, right? It was like, oh my God, it's only $25. Let's mint 500 and try to make some real money here. I mean, that's obviously what happened. I did not foresee that coming.
Some people did.
We did not foresee that coming. Like we thought this was a real inexpensive opportunity for people to experience like cross-chain ownership. We had the high hopes, like visionary stuff. But at the end of the day, most people are like, when number go up, and number can't go up if you don't give me a quick reveal, and number can't go up if you don't give me the traits right away to swipe the rares, and all this sort of stuff, and so it's a little bit, we were maybe too pie in the sky with it, hoping it's like an educational tool. But at the end of the day, I mean, look, the floor price is $9 now. You can go pick up an Embell and have a piece of history that's going to move around blockchains, and one of the first tokens that's going to be able to do this. I think it's awesome. And for $9, I'm not saying go buy it, but I mean, geez, I think it's awesome, man. I think it's awesome.
Chris, what's your take? What's your, this was actually your first product launch as joining Emblem Vault. So what being in the space, 8 years, we joined around the same time, but being on the business side of it, what were some takeaways from now being on the business side of things? And then also just the Embells release?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, eventful for sure. Real quick, Adam said that, nobody cares on Solana. They're just different trade-offs, right? You can still be a Bitcoiner and still use a different chain. Yep. And that's why something like Emblem is so great, because you can have the assurities of Bitcoin, but then trade them at the speed of Solana using Emblem Vault. So that's like the real kind of breakthrough monumental step that we've taken here.
Yep.
And so when we launched Bells, you're interacting with 2013 infrastructure while using mature Ethereum tooling. So that's the breakthrough here. So to do that and so Emblem can go into any blockchain and provide the tooling, and you can interact across chain, any chains, no matter what opportunities pop up using your home infrastructure. That's the real breakthrough here. So it's easy to get distracted and be like, oh my gosh, the front end was lagging. Or wow, the 2013 blockchain is producing blocks. Like, guys, we're aware that's like the showcase of the product, that if Emblem can provide the tooling for this slow blockchain and allow you to interact with it with your mature Ethereum native tooling and infrastructure, that's the real breakthrough here. So we could do a better job of unpacking that. This mint was never supposed to be a hyped mint. We didn't provide any marketing for it. We wanted it to be for the people that follow us, that are into, the cross-chain movement, that wanted to be a part of something new and to experiment. And when we look back, we have great art by Aviva, great tooling by us. And when you look back, it'll really be a very obvious monumental step for the industry. It might not be, so obvious to some, it seems today, but we're extremely confident that this is how everything is going to go forward. So Embels were literally the first to do it. And I think that that's just going to be, show how important it was over the, the coming weeks or months. As for the mint itself, I mean, it was flawless. We showcased the product that we wanted to showcase. And we got a ton of inbound of people starting to kind of realize the picture of what we're doing here. And that's the most important thing, is getting these people to understand you don't have to be siloed into one blockchain. If you're an artist, you don't care if someone's on Bitcoin or if someone's on Solana. You just want to find the people that like your art. And so it hasn't been possible to really do that seamlessly and without friction until Emblem Vault. And so this mint was a massive success in kind of demonstrating that.
Massive. Yeah, massive success. And also one more takeaway before I move to kind of the next topic. The Bells coin, Bellinals, right? Inscriptions on Bells coin. If you apply the market, the mint itself, and then the secondary volume of about 500K, that is probably about 5,000 times more volume on Bells coin itself. Right?
Or the Bells coin.
Right? And so all these users, most people who bought it are from Ethereum, right? And so they're just like in a completely different world in terms of value and maturity. So for them, $25 it was nothing. Like a few homies who had hit me up who were pretty big ETH collectors. He was just like, "Oh, this is super cool, man. Like, I like this idea of just buying a Bells coin asset, having it on Ethereum, and then once the market matures, once the infrastructure improves on Bells, then I could deal with it if I want to. If not, is just next to my art collection, right? Like for them, that is very appealing. And so we had a stamps, I guess a stamps minting service, a Bitcoin ordinals minting service, and a Dogecoin minting service all reach out to us and say, "Oh, I could get my service in front of the ETH collecting community." Like that is literally worth $5 billion in market cap. That is the type of exposure that just doesn't exist natively. And so, we'll keep trying to hammer this point as we kind of move forward. And it won't end with Bells coin on the vault pad. We have some people who've reached out, right? The inscription services and different types of projects. If this is something you're interested in, then, let us know, because we're going to continue to do this. It'll become more efficient. We've now, from the business side of this, right, we're now pretty close to the end of the reveal. I had to manually refresh about 150 remaining unrevealed bells. I'm about halfway through that, so I'll finish that the rest of today. Then we're adding traits. And then, then we're going to lead forward with Embells moving forward. And we're talking with Viva about different types of collaborative opportunities. And as we said, right, we're a cross-chain tool and company. And so Embells will lead that forward with Rare Pepe as we move forward across these different chains. It's tough to know what the future holds. That's why people asking for like roadmaps and things like this. But we move with the market flow, right? If the market is favoring one chain, then they end up finding Emblem Vault. This is why Emblem Vault did 30,000 ETH in volume in 2021 with Rare Pepe and Counterparty. Then it was the platform of choice for Bitcoin ordinals when it first popped off in February. We did 3,000 ETH of volume. And then Bitcoin stamps right after that, then inscriptions, right? And now we're doing the vault pad. And so it's just like lightning keeps striking over and over and over. But there's no way for us to predict this. We couldn't have predicted Bitcoin ordinals and inscriptions and all these different things. We're just building tooling and we're applying it to the market as it exists today. Yes, we will do better in terms of some of the marketing itself and providing as much clarity as possible. So yeah, that's kind of the wrap there. We will make sure that everything is satisfied and small errors. But moving on from that, it was a very, very exciting time. That was probably the biggest product launch we've had since ETH subscriptions back in, I think, like June or something like that. So a lot to look forward to in 2024. One new trend, man. I've been posting about this the last 2 days. The Dogecoin blockchain is clogged, and the Dogecoin maxis have come out.
I was on Spaces last night with them, where they were diving in with some of the technical devs behind it, and people calling it spam. I mean, literally the same conversations we had on ordinals back in the day, about spam and
and not just ordinals, Bitcoin stamps,
everything,
counterparty. It's the same conversation over and over and over.
Literally the same. I guess the difference here, just to provide some context for people who haven't heard, is that because Doge is so inexpensive to mint, what you had individuals or small teams creating literally millions of transactions to kind of inflate numbers. Hey, we did 2 million inscriptions today, trying to beat the record and do these sort of things to kind of hype it up, which we've seen a lot of on Doge, kind of hype up mints and do this kind of wash trading and all this sort of stuff. So in theory, like it kind of came down to, yes, it's getting spammed. People are spamming it. You and I don't necessarily consider it spam, but people are using it especially for this, like, basically marketing. Like, how can I just do literally millions of transactions to create hype or buzz around projects and stuff like that? So that was kind of my takeaway from the kind of, the spaces I've been on. And from a dev side, they're just basically like, there's not much we can do about this, so they've already come to the conclusion they can't really do anything about it. So kind of mute,
I pulled up here SoChain, what is this? SoChain.com, which is an explorer for Doge. There is currently 127,000 unconfirmed transactions in the mempool. If you go to Bitcoin, there's 175,000. And to put this kind of in scale perspective, one Bitcoin block is every 10 minutes. One Dogecoin block is every minute.
Yep.
So you're getting probably 5 times as much volume on Dogecoin right now in terms of just transactions as you are on Bitcoin. And so there's 2 different tweets that I had seen posted. This one right here that I pulled up on the live stream is from my Doge CTO, who's been, I guess, one of the leaders in terms of Dogecoin maximalism, or thinking Dogecoin as a transactional layer, which he says, to be 100% clear of my opinion on the record amount of Dogecoin transactions we're seeing, don't doubt for a second that there aren't bad actors behind this obvious bot spam. There are obviously a few motives. One is to create hype in general. Another is to create problem for which they want to sell a solution. I would say, though, whenever there's a problem, as an entrepreneur, you provide solutions. So that's just how capitalism works. And if you believe in capitalism, the way to innovate is to provide solutions to a problem. So I disagree with that, because
I don't know how you're selling a solution on a distributed, UTXO based blockchain. I don't know what solution anybody's going to sell into that. I mean, that doesn't really make, honestly, doesn't make
Dogecoin layer 2 coming, man.
Okay.
Dogecoin layer 2. We'll see it stacks on Doge. Let's do it. He said, thankfully, we have smart people on the Doge side working on real solutions to this problem. Somebody else, this one got a lot more traction yesterday by a guy named Timothy Stebbing, which has a project, Dogecoin FDN, maybe Dogecoin Foundation. Yep. He said, Dogecoin is currently sick. We're being contacted by a number of exchanges saying Dogecoin is jammed, unresponsive. We know the issues is inscriptions clogging the network, and devs across the board, the core, the foundation, etc., are now putting their heads together on various ideas from friendly to extreme to protect currency first Dogecoin network. So
when Dogecoin store of value,
right?
Dogecoin SV. I mean, dude, it's so hilarious, man. It's so hilarious that you're more exposed to the kind of the Dogecoin, foundation and those guys. I'm only just experiencing it, but it is quite hilarious that, I mean, you just have to laugh at the Doge's money, which, okay, I'm all for it. It's fine. But Under attack is it's a funny narrative, but it is funny that we've seen this literally across basically every blockchain now. It's just it's quite comical. But
well, our friend Little Shibe, who was a 2014 Doge Party OG, he created some of the first tokens on Dogecoin ever. He said, and I like this take. He said, Dogecoin started as a joke. Now many see it as a currency and want to treat it as such. I find that funny.
Yeah.
They want to wrestle for control and do what's best, all while forgetting it's a joke. Your motive is showing.
Yeah. No, that's right along my takes, man. That literally is it. Like I'm all like, look, you want it to go on. 100%. Like I get it. And these guys who've spent time and money probably never got paid for, maintaining Doge. And I'm connected with a couple of the, OG devs and stuff. And it's, yeah, dude, they've put in lifetime of work, maintaining this thing. You want to see it succeed. But the reality is there's very little they can do to stop this, like very little. And I heard no solution to be able to stop it at all. I think the only thing that'll stop it, which we got back to, this gets back to the OG Bitcoin conversation, is like lack of interest. Like that's the only thing that's going to stop people from, minting this stuff. It's just nobody's interested anymore. And that seems highly unlikely.
And some of you may be wondering what is causing it. What was the concern? So this happened actually, not to this scale, but it happened, I guess, to this scale, but only for a day. This has been going on for like a week or two now. There's a new mint called DBIT on DRC20, which has the same setup as the same parameters as Sats. It's 2.1 quadrillion. You can mint 100 million per. Right now, it's minted at 66% progress, and there's been 13,900,000 transactions. I think it takes 21 million transactions to fully mint out. And so this is what's clogging the network. It was funny because the My Doge CTO, a few days ago, and I'd quote tweeted him, and he said, "There's no way possible that there's 83,000 transactions happening per hour." And I was like, "You're severely underestimating." First, you're severely underestimating degens. But also, you're severely underestimating the whole point of Doge, which is cheap and fast transactions. Yep. Like there's if you go to SoChain, there is right now, you could see this. See, look at down here where it says latest blocks. Each block is a minute. Keep that in terms. There's about 2,000. So let's say 2,000, right? 2,500 transactions per block. So you're having, what is that? One transaction every, or was that 30 transactions a minute? Or a second or something like that. I'm pretty bad at math, but I think that's around maybe more.
It's a lot, dude. It's a lot.
40 transactions per second or something like that. To me, that's getting close to scale. All right. I don't know what Solana's transaction throughput is, but from a UTXO standpoint, like this is getting up there for what people want in terms of scale. This goes back to our Dogenal spaces back in over the summer. Remember, all the first Dogenal projects that popped up were all gaming focused. Yep. I don't think any of them really kind of hit adoption or anything like that, but the thesis is right. And the same thing is for Solana. So we'll see how this unfolds. I don't know if there's anything they really can do. Hopefully they don't come out territorial against it. I had a fun joke yesterday. I said, what we should do is get Elon to come out and call for an increase in block size, which he's done before. There's a tweet from him in 2021 saying that Dogecoin needs to increase its blocks by 10x.
Yep.
So we need Elon to come address it and increase block and ask for block size. Then we fork Doge, and we could call it Dogecoin EV, Dogecoin Elon's vision, and then we could run it back like Bitcoin SV. Let's just do it all again. Go down forever though. Doge EV. Let's do it.
Dogecoin EV. And then we'll get Dogecoin Satoshi's vision, and oh my god, dude, yeah, it's hilarious, dude.
It's the perfect.
That's like just Sheeb's tweet. It's like it's quite hilarious when you just see these like guys who are really serious about Dogecoin as money, getting serious about it. It's, if you can't laugh at that, bro, what are you even doing? This is hilarious to see this gamed out. It's just it's crazy. This is like drama 101. It's funny as shit,
dude. Absolutely. And our friends Udi and Eric, they've been crushing it.
Oh my gosh.
The Quantum Cats. I was lucky enough to get in on the whitelist for this. It is rocketed from a 0.1 mint to 0.33 Bitcoin. It's not even been 24 hours. and they've done 272 Bitcoin in volume, which if you're looking on the 30-day chart of volume, it's about 200 Bitcoin. So Node Monkeys is 467 Bitcoin volume in 30 days. RSIC Meta Protocols 541 Bitcoin volume. Those are both quite impressive.
Yeah.
That's 30-day volume. This is literally one day.
One day.
And it's now sitting at a 0.33 Bitcoin floor. I had all my friends that had asked me about this, about selling or what are my thoughts of this. And I was like, this is literally just going to rocket to number one. There was not a doubt in my mind this was going to be the number one project. It's backed by every single Ochi Bitcoiner. You have Dan Held for it. You have Pete Rizzo. You have literal Bitcoin developers, core developers supporting this. That does not happen on any other project. And you know what we had talked about, and this is one of our thesis at OmniSat as well, is that there's literally billions, if not tens of billions of dollars sitting in maybe 1,000 wallets or 2,000 wallets of OG Bitcoiners. And they're just not interested in any other project. And this might be, to me, this was the first project that might, at least Ordinal's project, that would be appealing to them to just throw around money, right? If you have a Bitcoin wallet of 2,000, throwing 3 Bitcoin into this it's nothing, right? That's a penny. That's fractions, 0.1% of your net worth. And you're supporting OG development. And now I'm seeing some other core developers come out and support OpCat, which is like the whole idea behind this.
Yep.
And Udi and Eric have been attempting to build on Bitcoin since I think they've been in the community since 2013. Shannon, our founder at Emblem, has also been around there in 2013. Emblem started on Counterparty in 2016 and ended up leaving because of the maximalist take of innovation they wanted as currency. I think the maxis have really lost the culture war. I think we determined that long ago. I think we talked about that like during the summer. But what's your takeaway on this? It's extreme, dude. Just
before we get into the takeaway, Jake, are you hodling this bad boy for you're hodling for 1 Bitcoin, or what's your
so they also introduced something which a lot of people I think have really not paid attention to. I think it was called like evolving ascriptions. So they said this cat has 31 layers to it. And I think there was only 5 or 6 layers introduced into the first mint. So I don't know if the layers are just different types of art or if they have other types of different parameters. But they have what's his name? Renald, the developer who's joined them, Rendall, who's highly intelligent, just following him and listening to his conversations. And I know Udi and them, they raised $13 million off of this, right? They raised $7 million in VC capital. I know one of their main ideas is creating some sort of ZK rollup. And obviously OpCat return. They want smart contract functionality. This will be the leading kind of project to it. There was no doubt I was ever going to sell this. I told my friend, I said, if it pops to maybe 0.5 Bitcoin in the first day, I'd consider it. But 3,000 supply, to me, this was always a long-term hold for a long time. I don't know why you'd fade these guys.
So my feeling is I would do what you're doing as well. I feel like these guys, the bag they have now to kind of develop and give back to their holders is massive now. Although they don't have the income stream that Yuga did with the royalties, still they have a huge war chest. They have the wizards themselves, which are just sitting there, waiting, this fat bag of cash waiting there as well. So, I mean, you look at all that together and you're looking at, I don't know, $50 million, $40 to $50 million. And if they want to be the Yuga of, ordinals of Bitcoin, you figure at some point, airdrops or something, you're going to get rewarded in some way if they follow that model, right? Which would seem to be smart. So we'll see. I mean, it gives me a lot of FOMO. I probably should have worked a little harder to get that whitelist, but yeah, I'm with you, man. It seems like, there's too much good stuff going to be happening with ordinals over the next, year, 2 years. And you've got the preemptive collection. You got in on the ground floor. It's really, bro, it'd have to pop to like a 1 Bitcoin to sell, now for me. I would say hold it as well.
Yeah, that was my thought. Chris, I know you're I know you're a big fan of Udi and Eric, and also just being an OG Bitcoiner yourself, what's your takeaway from the project? Did you also buy a Quantum Cat on secondary or mint one? And yeah, just your overall takeaway from this just extreme price appreciation.
I am catless.
Oh no!
Unfortunately, I was looking at for them on the secondary. I don't know what they did, where they minted, but then they didn't go to secondary immediately. They weren't on there for like 6 hours. I was away from computer, but I'm still looking at them. In terms of Udi and Eric and the Yuga comparison, honestly, even without all of Yuga's money, they're way more powerful. They're way more in tune with their community. They understand the industry from a way better perspective. They're not going to blow $150 million of their raise on creating a random game. They just have a way stronger kind of stranglehold on who their target market is and what their product that they're delivering to the community is. So they're in a way stronger position, in my opinion. Ordinals are, I mean, you know, we all predicted it going into this. Ordinals are going to be the biggest thing of the year, of the next 5 years, probably. There's so much stagnant money on there that's just been sitting there waiting to be put to use. The infrastructure is finally catching up. So that's, you know, there's a good chance that that's pretty much where all of the excitement is going to be throughout the year. And it's hard to find a better team, a better kind of fit for, you know, a project leader rather than Udi and Eric, who have been here every single day for so many years, that are so in tune with, you know, everybody that's been backing Bitcoin from the very beginning. So great pickup, Jake. They're going to do some super epic things. I'm definitely sure of it. And you just know that they're not going to cash grab you on the other side. You know, their hearts and minds are in the right place. And, you know, they've said intentionally a million times they're pushing Bitcoin forward with these collections. And that's something that, you know, we're all passionate about as well. So a win on all fronts for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens from it. Eric's a very intelligent guy. Dan Held, also OG Bitcoiner, he came out yesterday and he said Quantum Cats are Bored Apes and the Wizards are the punks of Bitcoin. There's some speculation that if you have a Quantum Cat, it like morphs into a wizard. Some people are saying Quantum Cats will be able to claim or get whitelisted or allow listed for a wizard. Who really knows? But I mean, if a Quantum Cat at that time is worth 1 Bitcoin, like a wizard's what, 3, 2? Like, I don't even know. Those things are inscribed in like under 10,000, I think. And they also have like the 3 megas. And so there's so many different collective attributes that are going along with this that, I don't know, it just doesn't seem comparable.
Also, Jake, a Bitcoin's a little low, man. I would not sell for a Bitcoin. You're thinking, we always say all the highest value assets are going to be on Bitcoin. You know, punks are at maybe 150K floor. You know how so many people are just kind of like revenge hate traders, where, you know, so many Bitcoiners are spiteful of everyone on Ethereum. There's no way they don't just like pump this out of principle up to the high heavens, probably. So I'd watch out for that. I think a Bitcoin's a little low.
High heavens. Yeah. Send it immediately to Valhalla.
Less than 150 is FUD, man. Bro, how'd you get on that whitelist? Tell us about it. How'd you do
it? So one of my buddies actually sold me the allow list.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. He didn't have it. Of course, extreme. I highly do not recommend this unless you do this with somebody you absolutely trust. One of my buddies, he was just like, honestly, I don't have the capital to pay for 1.1 Bitcoin, and I've been following you for a long time, and I would like to sell this to you and offer it to you. And I said, yeah. And obviously, like, again, do not do this at home. You have to do this with absolutely somebody you trust, but you have to, basically what I did is I opened up a new wallet, put 0.1 Bitcoin in there, 0.104. I think that's what you needed. Gave him the private keys so he could connect his Discord account to the wallet. Then he minted it. And then once it was returned, then I sent it to my new wallet, right? Obviously, you could easily be scammed there. So that's why I say that's like doing these kind of risky things. It's very, very tough. This is why we created Emblem, right? For these kind of situations. Hopefully we could do some type of claim thing like that. But when you get the allow list, you had to connect your Discord. So it was like either I give him the keys or he has to give me the password to his Discord to do it, right? And obviously, if you're the one that's in control, right, he's not going to give up his login to his Discord. Could have, but I know there's a lot of people who are selling the allow list, at least from what I hear, from up to 0.05 Bitcoin for the allow list itself. So you're spending 0.15, 0.16 just to mint it.
Wow.
So that's why when my friend was asking, like, how high is this going to go? I was like, well, if you have, let's say you have 10% of the people selling their allow list for $2,000. Just if you think about a flipper's mentality, right? Flippers, they need to get that at least that double for most flippers in the NFT space. So I was like, this is at least going to go to 0.3 Bitcoin just from pure flippers mentality. You're now taking 10, 20% off the market. We're not going to sell at least doubles. And then you put in the long-term holders there. I did see that the public mint was botted by some individuals. There was one person, I guess, who minted 60 of them.
Come on.
Market.
Are you serious, dude?
Yeah.
60?
60. Yeah. I don't know if they ended up doing anything. It didn't look like they did, but there was a new bot that came out. It's on Twitter. It might have been deleted now.
Probably the Udi bot, man. I mean, let's be real. Let's be real, man. The team probably botted it themselves, you know?
Right. That was the FUD people were saying for Embels. They were like, the team bought them all.
The team brought them.
Team bought them all. I was like, I minted 3 or 4 of them in testing, and that was it. I didn't even get any others in. So yeah, we're gonna do some giveaways and stuff with the Embels, but yeah, it's cool to see the Quantum Cats win. We'll probably see a lot more larger collectors come in, and who knows what the narrative is, but there's about 25 layers to this cat that still have to be revealed, whatever that even means. So pay attention. Yeah, that is in the cold storage for a long time.
Did you happen to catch it? This was news to me, but Azuki. Did you see the Azuki news?
No. What is
Azuki? Azuki, like Yuga, has partnered with Magic Eden. So I think, it looks like Azuki's going to be partnering maybe exclusively with Magic Eden for trading. I think it's, they didn't really talk about why, but it's pretty clear that they're going to be going to this enforced royalty model on Magic Eden for ETH-based collections. So it's exciting, man. It's exciting to see what's happening over there.
Yeah, so far they have Yuga, Pudgies, and Azuki.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's the detail on there? What's the detail on that, Chris? I saw there was like a Pudgy claim as well, or something like that.
Yeah, just they're going to basically exclusive royalty enforced contracts over at Magic Eden. So how they're building it, no details, but that's what it seems to be so far.
I wonder how they're going to do that. Right. Obviously, we talk about this, right? You go the wormhole route where you destroy the token and mint a new one onto the new contract, right? Or you keep the provenance of the token and then you try to basically wrap it. We had proposed, right? We tweeted at them and saying, hey, we could do this with Emblem Vault. We literally just spin up an ERC 721C contract. You deposit the Bored Ape in there. You keep the provenance of the token and you get enforced royalties. I guess we're too little for them.
Yeah. I mean, it could be one of those things where they just blow a massive amount of money building this out, and then some other kind of tooling like Emblem or something else just bypasses it completely. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know.
Yeah, should we rip it? Should we rip it right from under them? Zero royalties on Emblem Vault, or zero marketplace fees, zero royalties. All you got to do is throw it in a vault. Now
they would definitely do it to us. They would do it to anyone.
They would do it to us. They would. People have done this to us. So. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some decisions. So I hope you guys are excited for Emblem Markets when that comes. It's still in the process, but getting closer. I think we're getting ready to test some purchasing today. We have our Emblem developer call, but I'm excited for Emblem Markets, man. There's a lot of different business models that we're thinking through, a lot of tokenomic kind of structures and ideas. But one thing I've learned, there's always ways around royalties. There's zero way they're going to be able to enforce this outside of just pure incentives, right? Where it's like, if you trade this token outside of this marketplace, then you lose
airdrops or whatever.
You lose airdrops and shit like that. That's the only way really to socially enforce it. Of course, right, we've seen airdrops as the way to keep the community engaged, but once the airdrops stop, everyone leaves, right? I think it's the same way, right? When you create like a Twitter account and you think about marketing and you do all these different giveaways through the Twitter account channel or the Twitter account, and then you realize all the followers you got are just bots and right, like scavengers and people who just want money, and that's their new expectation. So if you're gonna build a royalty enforced marketplace with just the pure incentives of just keep going airdrops, we saw what happened when Yugo's doing this after the monkey drop stopped and the dog drop. And once it stops, everyone leaves, right? So you got to build it. It takes much longer to build a strong foundation with the community without incentives, right? That's a real cultural thing. It's coming, doing spaces all day, being, communicating with people, being okay that people are going to leave the ecosystem and, satisfying and finding like a really organic culture. It's really tough to do. But I mean, between those three teams, Azuki, Yuga Labs, or four teams, Magic Eden and Pudgies, they probably have the largest. Four of them have all VC raised capital, right? Azuki just raised 40 million on their mint. Pudgies raised 9 million on their VC. Yuga Labs has raised hundreds of millions. Magic Eden raised $200 million. So they have the capital to do it, right? So who knows where it goes, but it'll be interesting.
Did you see I think it was last week or maybe a few days ago now. It was the first time since the Bored Ape launched that no Bored Apes had sold. Did you see that?
In one day, there was not one that sold 24 hours.
Sold 24 hours. Not one.
Screeching halt.
Oof.
Everyone's going to Bitcoin and Solana. It's like literally where everyone's gone.
Literally brick wall. I mean, I always thought we've talked about it sometimes, and it's like, what do I think apes could fall to? And it's like, I could see them coming down to 7 ETH, 8 ETH, something like that. It's possible. Certainly when none are trading, people will lower those prices. So we'll see how it goes.
So here, let's take one speculation, and then we can close this up here. For Magic Eden's royalty enforced marketplace, are they going to destroy the token and mint a new one, or are they going to do some sort of like wrapped contract to where they're going to offer you tokens to wrap the token, and then it locks the token in this contract?
That feels to me more likely. If they destroy the tokens, man, I mean, I kind of have to rethink my paradigm shift. I'm gonna but who knows? People do all sorts of crazy stuff when money's on the line, right? And Yuga may see this as like an existential threat to them, and so maybe they do some sort of burn mechanism. Who knows, man? Who knows what they do? I would be stunned, but who knows?
Just so funny. Like what are we doing here? Like decentralized assets that you literally own, and now they're going to be locked up and only tradable on this super siloed niche corner of the internet. Like, what are we actually doing here? Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see. My guess is that they're going to offer some sort of airdrop, whether they're pulling more ape token out of the DAO, or each of these three projects all drop their own fungible tokens and try to do some sort of reward. But my guess is it's going to be, they take the token and you have to deposit it into a wrapped contract, and then the wrapped contract either has a time lock for a certain amount of time, or it's just forever locked. And so you technically keep the provenance, but you can't remove it, right? And
that's literally a Fortnite skin that you can only trade on Fortnite. Like, we're just, time is a flat circle. We're just right back exactly where we started. Ridiculous world this is.
It's so awesome, dude.
Oh man,
we're literally right back to Fortnite. Epic Games now owns your skin, but you can trade it.
Well, they did. Well, Yuga Labs did get the Epic Games CEO, right? Was it Epic Games or Blizzard? Oh, it was Blizzard or Activision. Yeah. So I don't know. They're going for gaming. Who knows where it happens? But this was a fun space. Congrats everyone on the Emblem team for 100 episodes, and all the community members who come through, right? Like, we've had 30 people in here, 16 now, just hanging out, talking about things that we prefer. We don't have to give into, the mainstream narratives. We talk about, what makes us happy. And, that's what's exciting. It takes a little bit longer to grow, but it'll be more fulfilling. So to say the least, tomorrow we'll be back talking Doginals, right? That is a hot requested item. The ecosystem is growing. One final note there, there was a Doginals wallet, I guess ICO that had gone on a launch pad. I got into the round. I knew it was going to blow up, and it sold out literally in like 10 seconds. So there's demand for it, and it was for a new type of wallet. The infrastructure is not completely there. But they're about to go through the same thing that Bitcoin Ordinals did, where emerging technology meets the money. I guess you'd say the Dogecoin is currency kind of maximalist takes. So that'll be a fun narrative to watch. But I think that's bullish, right? It was bullish for Bitcoin. We stay where it is today, and we'll see where this lands over the next 12 months or so, or 11 months throughout the rest of the year. All right, guys, I really appreciate it. 100 episodes. Let's make sure we get this to another 100. And until then, guys, enjoy your Wednesday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.